but I have the right to defend my life. And if it means that I have to put you back into the ground from whence you came, it means I'm going to have to send you on to hell very, very quickly.
So unless you've been in a coma for the last 2 weeks, you've heard of the controversial pastor Kevin Smith, or as the entire country has dubbed him, the cult pastor. And every 5 minutes, something seems to come up about him. 1 minute he's a crazy cult man who's doing human sacrifices. The other minute, he's dead. Then there's news about him sexually assaulting a man in Canada. It's a whole thing. Well, today we are going to investigate this hot boiling pot of mess. Today we're covering some interesting information about his earlier life, reviewing the whole human sacrifice thing, the details of his death, the cult-like culture of the church, and his sexual assault allegations in that order. Please remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get right to it. Pastor Kevin Smith, His Excellency Dr. Kevin Smith, Cultman Smith, cult pastor, whatever you want to call him. He's been on the lips of pretty much every Jamaican for the past 2 weeks. He's now the late pastor of the Pathways International Kingdom Restoration Ministries, and he is quite a curious man with a curious past. He pretty much grew up in Canada, started in church pretty early. The bishops in his area really, really fancied him. Kevin Smith has pretty much been preaching his entire life, traveled to over 100 countries preaching and ministering, and was respected and admired by those around him. Well, almost. According to a woman who grew up with him and attended the same church as him when they were younger, once Kevin became over 18, he got married to a woman, presumably of the church, but he was allegedly caught with multiple men at different occasions, not once. There was an instance where he tried to get with the past acquaintance of him, the lady that went to the same church as him and grew up with him, her friend, who was a male. And so she brought it up with the pastor at the time, and he denied it. She then brought it up with the overseer and was met with the same dismissive response that, it didn't happen, yada, yada, yada. And they still had Kevin traveling the world, ministering to different people. So he went on with what he was doing and eventually got caught by his wife, allegedly multiple times. And again, all of this is according to the past acquaintance of Dr. Kevin Smith. Following that, in the same words of the acquaintance, let me read it. He found a scheme in Jamaica where he could manipulate and trick the system and trick the people. And his knack for overtaxing the congregation of his church, well, those are skills that he learned working alongside the bishops in Canada. The self-proclaimed prophet always seemed to be hearing from God, but it's hardly ever anything, light and good. It's always about someone dying, someone killing someone, or what manner of bad things will happen to a person if they do this, if they do that. It's never, you're going to get your dream baby in a year. The Lord is going to bless you with him next year. It's never that. It's always, you're going to die. Always great to hear from a prophet. On Sunday, October 17, a call was made out to the police by a woman who was injured. And the police came by to check out what was going on. And the rest started this whole, I don't even know what to call it. Starting a few days prior to this infamous Sunday, Pastor Kevin Smith had been posting on social media some erratic and cryptic messages about a coming flood and how his flock should prepare. The ark is loading now. Insert location of church here. Leave immediately, dressed in white. PCC registered only now. PCC referring to the persons of the church. It's an abbreviation for the church. The other one reads, PCC go immediately today now. The flood is coming. Go now, run, leave immediately. Leave immediately. Leave immediately, run. All who were sealed yesterday, come now. Let's hope Miss Odette is okay and not too traumatized, who responded, My Majesty 999, Amen. This post prompted followers of his or the church all around the country to come dressed in white for the church service to remember. They were also told to leave their phones at home. Also, in a few of his previous posts, this message: you must wash yourself before you sleep. Do not use anything that's not natural. Do not put any products in your hair. Must be natural, no oils, no lotions. Throw them out. Contradicting himself in 3, 2, 1. No underarm sprays, nothing except what is natural oils from the field. He really said, come stink as you are. Come green as you are, you know? Must be stink to enter the ark. I'm sorry, that is a bad joke. It continues, I am His Excellency Dr. Kevin O. Smith, D.Min, Crown Bishop and End of Time Nabi of Him, Conqueror, Lion of the Tribe of Judah, King of Kings and Lord of Lords, Jesus Christus, the one true and living God, 999. He really just said 666, but make it flipped. I think I may be making too many inappropriate jokes here. Now did Kevin Smith wield the weapon? From what I'm seeing, the answer might be leaning towards no. A member of the church was interviewed after the police managed to, put a cap on what's going on in the church. She said she witnessed a senior church member stabbing members after being instructed they'd be embarking on a heavenly journey via the ark. Why not go first, So, as mentioned before, the police were called by a young woman. She was injured during the whole ritualistic killing. How was she injured? Well, it came out that she actually didn't follow the pastor's orders through and through. If things went his way, we'd be having a lot more dead bodies. And there would be kids in that victim count. So a first set of police officers came to the scene, but they were shot at, so they waited for reinforcements. After a while, the police were able to take control of the situation, and they finally entered the church. They found at least 3 men partially nude, including Pastor Kevin Smith. 3 others lay dead, and 3 more were wounded. That which included the woman, which I'm assuming you may all be familiar with, who had her throat slashed. A total of 144 members were brought into custody. The minor section of that, meaning the minors, were put into state care, and the rest were brought in for questioning about what was going on and for breaching the Curfew Act. Let's look more into Kevin Smith's death, which, honestly, this is the first in my 20 years of living that I have seen so many people question if what's going on, what we are being told is true. Like, you sure him dead? You sure him not hide? You sure them not cover up something? You sure it's the XYZ 1, 2, 3 ABC? So, officers were transporting Kevin Smith and another suspect to be formally charged in Kingston. The accident happened. Should I put accident in quotations? Am I the drama? I don't think I'm the drama. Am I the villain? No, Kevin is a villain. The accident happened in Linstead. most likely they were being charged for the death of 2 of the congregation during the ritualistic murders. Now, suspect 1 and suspect 2 being Kevin Smith, were in separate vehicles. Suspect 1 was in the pilot vehicle, which is the vehicle at the front, and Kevin in an unmarked vehicle in the back. According to a witness on the scene, the vehicle that Kevin Smith was in hit oncoming traffic in the opposite direction, was spun into the road, hit by another car coming in the opposite direction, which finally pushed the vehicle over into nearby bushes. Now, most of the damages that I'm seeing on the vehicle were towards the back passenger seats, which, as you may have guessed, where Kevin Smith and another police officer, Orlando Irons, were. And unfortunately, both Kevin Smith and the police officer that was in the back passenger seat with him died. And actually, it took about an hour for firefighters to be able to remove the bodies. Now, the 2 police officers who were in the front part of the vehicle, the driver and the front passenger seat, are both in critical condition as of the recording of this video. Now, curiously, Kevin's attorney wasn't actually aware that he was being transported from Mobay to Kingston, which, according to her, isn't normally how things would go. That's something that she should have been involved with, and she is quite disgruntled. She wants answers. She's now representing Kevin's family, and they want answers as to what went wrong. And this was actually the second time that the police just didn't include her in what's going on with her client, like moving him from one location to another. Now, she fully believes that Kevin Smith could have been processed in St. James. She's wondering, hey, why didn't you do this instead? Now, a bit more on what it was like attending a church like that. Now, if you haven't really seen much about Kevin Smith, besides the fact that he's a cult leader, I'm sure you've heard a whisper or two about, how he expects to be treated. There are multiple pictures of Kevin being outside and having a young man with an umbrella over his head. Because Kevin Smith apparently is ice cream and will melt if there's too much sun. And even if he's in a pool of water, he clearly will melt. Don't be insensitive. Now, Kevin Smith made it a custom to have his congregation treat him a specific way. Aside from the whole umbrella thing, kneeling before him was partly something too. Kneeling to serve him water, and traveling around him when he's visiting the bank, the umbrella, people going on hands and knees. Truly some things that you would really think, what in the hot hell is going on? Kevin also had his congregation referring to him as Your Majesty and Crown Bishop. But honestly, if you don't have your congregation bowing to you, kneeling to serve you water, walking with an umbrella over your head, what kind of church are you running? Obviously, you need to step your game up. This is a joke, by the way. This is a joke. Now, another curious thing with Kevin Smith's church is his greed. I think the rest of us would call it greed. He would charge late fees.
All right, those of you who are late this morning, can I have the late book? Is that this one? Put it in this.
He would expect tithes, offerings, and so on 3 times per ceremony, right? Church is kept 3 times a week, and he's collecting 3 different times during each, He also charged $50 to $350 US for deliverance fees. Delivering you from demonic possessions, spiritual attachments, all that good stuff, but make it expensive. So in total, this man could be clearing $1 million per week. Now, are you considering becoming a cult leader? Are you? Don't. Now, obviously, Dr. Kevin Smith, or Pastor Kevin Smith, couldn't be all bad at face value. He was doing charitable deeds. He was helping out members of his congregation. He would have male members of his congregation in his care. He would essentially take them in and guide them through a path. Unfortunately, as some of you may have found out, he wasn't the most kind and caring steward. He was abusive. He was, according to someone who was in his care, very controlling. And he would physically abuse these young men. He would full on beat them. It was really bad. And it's very unfortunate that these young men had to endure that through someone who was supposed to be helping them and guiding them along the right path. And you can preach tough love, but there is a line between tough love and abuse. And I think as a pastor, as someone who's been ministering for pretty much all his life, should be aware of this line. Kevin Smith would also separate families. He had blood relatives going, I'm not dealing with XYZ anymore. Parents from kids. Kevin's thing was that he would, and this is a thing with cults too, question him, go against him. He will say, you are a witch. He will convince his congregation that what he's saying is fact. And from there, the rest of the congregation, as Kevin's loyal followers, would simply not speak to this so-called witch, and they would more or less be excommunicated. Now, there are, as some of you may know, instances where Kevin got people to do some questionable things. Again, with the whole separation of family members, he convinced one woman to take her child and another relative out of her life insurance policy and put him there. Imagine taking your kid out of your life insurance policy to put a pastor. However, the paperwork did not go through, as she made some mistakes with the filing. Now, from what I've gathered overall is Kevin is quite the character. He's quite charismatic, authoritative, like a true cult leader. Now, you may be asking, and rightfully so, how could they not have known that he was a bad person? How could they have not noticed the signs? You see, this is the thing about cults now. At face value, they might not seem that alarming. And oftentimes when you're a part of it, you never quite realize how bad things are until it's too late. Like, a lot of those people really thought that they were going to go to church to a normal Sunday. They may not have known that he was planning to kill anyone or order anyone to kill anyone. And this man didn't just come up out of the blue like 5 days ago and go, yes, bestie, I'm going to bring you to the ark, which is a magical thing. Never mind the fact that the ark in the Bible, passed on gone already. Never mind the fact that God said that he wasn't going to do a flood again. You see, Kevin Smith sold his crazy. He's going to be charismatic. He's going to be someone at face value could be read as a good person. He's doing the charitable things. He's appearing to be dedicated to his people, the members of his congregation. He will help. it's necessary for a good smokescreen. You have to have a certain set of good qualities to be able to trick someone into thinking that you're a good person, or you're not manipulating them into doing something that you want. You can't be all bad and horrible and controlling and expect to get a large and loyal following. That's just not how it works. And Kevin Smith knew this. And you know, in a way, Kevin Smith is pretty smart, because he went into an environment where questioning him could mean your chance in heaven, could cost you your chance in heaven. He could convince you that, hey, if you question me, if you do certain things against me, you are now going to hell, because I'm the prophet. I'm the one speaking directly to God. I'm the one being constantly visited by God. Who are you? Who are you? Now, on to Kevin Smith's sexual assault rumors. According to Observer Online, through a highly placed law enforcement, Kevin Smith was convicted of the sexual assault of a 21-year-old male back in Canada in 2007. Through the same source, they found out that Kevin spent 6 months in prison and received probation orders for 10 years. However, the past acquaintance of his said that she didn't know anything about that. She's not aware about anything about that. However, there are definitely rumors surrounding molestation in the church, apparently over a great period of time, especially towards the young males of the church. In fact, the police say that they do have information about this, but it's just that information. And until they have done their investigation, they can't quite say anything concrete about the rumors. Here endeth a portion of my word. I think it's inappropriate to say my holy or unholy word given the nature of the subject at hand. Don't be starting cults, because I'm exhausted and you don't want me covering you. Please. Thank you. If anything else comes out about Pastor Kevin Smith, and I think that you should know, I will compile what I've been hearing, and I might do a part 2. Thank you for watching my video, and if you enjoyed, please leave a thumbs up. Comment down below. Tell me what you think about Kevin Smith. Tell me about your theories, please. I want to hear them. Stay safe and don't be joining cults. Bye.